Welcome to the Redvee TV Show, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2025 season. Kevin, we just can't keep away from each other. 24 hours after saying, let's not film until the end of the week, let's have a few days off, Saints decide to spoil it all. They must have listened and have released news this evening that Matty Lees has been named the club captain for the 2026 season. So we've had to come and film.
Yeah, wonderful news for Matty Lees. I think less so for us when you rang me and said, as you say, after filming yesterday, um, do we have to do we have to film at all this week, or should we have a week off? And then I get the phone call saying, "What time are you free?" Right, let's get back to it, eh?
Okay, so Matty Lees named captain, the right call? Question mark. Now, I'm going to start off here by saying Matty Lees, great player, great person, will be a fantastic captain for this club. Um, he was the next in line, wasn't he? After Morgan Knowles has gone. When we've discussed potential captains, Matty Lees is the obvious choice, being potentially the right age, the right level of experience, someone who can lead us forward, somebody who you would quite happily march into battle behind. Fair to say?
Yes, yeah, someone who leads by example. I think when people look at prop forwards, and take away all the leadership qualities, you look at prop forwards, and people look at meter makers. And would look at the likes of Alex Walmsley for that and probably say Matty Lees isn't in that same style of player. But Matty Lees does all the stuff like the kick chases well. His tackling ability is second to none. The fact that he can do long minutes at prop is probably one of the ones in our George Delaney aside, who, no offence to George Delaney, was probably never in the conversation and won't be for some good years to be captain of this club. So yeah, I think you've probably got a choice of three or four that you could make captain after Jonny Lomax. I'll name them as Jack Welsby, and a penny for his thoughts. He was vice captain alongside Morgan Knowles. Mark Percival, arguably, just purely based on longevity rather than anything, which is how the job sometimes ends up being with someone, I'd say. Darrell Clark, again, another one who's got bags and bags of experience, and Matty Lees. And for me, out of those four players, Matty Lees is the right choice.
Yeah. I think someone who leads by example. Now, I've seen obviously comments across social media saying fantastic choice for captain, wishing him well. Completely get it. Matty Lees words himself that it's a really special moment for him and his family. Something he's always dreamed about. He's honoured, and he's following in two great leaders in Jonny Lomax and James Roby. And he can't think of two better captains to have learned from. So nice words from Matty. My view is not that necessarily it's come a year too soon, but I would have liked to have seen Matty Lees become the on-field playing captain, and I would have liked to have retained Jonny Lomax as the club captain, like an overall overarching figure. I just feel the way Saints captaincies have gone, and I'll look back over the last few years. So you've gone from Paul Sculthorpe to Paul Wellens to John Wilkin to James Roby. Players have maintained the captaincy essentially until they've come to the end of their careers or retired. I think with Paul Rowley coming in and the words he said at the forum where he said he already knows his spine for next year, I think it's clear that Jonny isn't going to be in his starting 13. I think we would all be
Yeah,
mightily shocked if Jonny Lomax started the season in the halves for Saints next season. I think that's clear to see that this is probably Johnny's swan song season, maybe at the club. As he comes into the final year of his deal. But I think he took over the captaincy at a time when the team was probably on a decline. He's been an absolutely fantastic servant for the club. He'll go down as a legend of the club. I
Yeah.
just feel it's a bit of a raw deal to take. And I'm saying this not knowing the inside dealings of the club, taking the captaincy away from him. Maybe Johnny's quite happy to unload that burden of being captain and concentrate on just trying to get himself into the team at times this year. But I feel that you could have used him as a club captain. The dog barking spoilt the monologue, so it's staying in. I'll cut little bits. But albeit a Seamus Coleman type role, where he's the club captain, somebody everybody looks up to at the club, but plays very little. And James Tarkowski is the captain on the pitch. A bit like a John Terry, who was the club captain at Chelsea, but Frank Lampard would often be the leader on the pitch. A Gary Neville at Man United, despite Rio Ferdinand and Vidic, would often be captain when they're on the field, and Gary Neville's not. If you look at Liverpool in recent years, Jordan Henderson, who was probably it was the club captain, but quite often it'd be Virgil van Dijk when he's on the field. Um, I think you could have maintained Johnny in that sort of role while still having Matty as your on-field captain 99% of the time and having that transition next year. But is this a different Saints in terms of that's how we would have done it in the past? Johnny would have maintained the captaincy for the next 12 months. Would Johnny have maintained the captaincy if Paul Wellens had kept the head coaching role? I would say yes, he would have, even if he wasn't going to be first choice next year. Um, but is this a different Saints with Paul Rowley coming in and wanting to change mentalities, change the way we do things? And put his own stamp on things with his own captain and his own leader on the field.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's some nice words from Paul Rowley as well. Say for over a decade, Johnny's been an outstanding leader at the club. Even that's very right. He's always displayed a first team mentality and has demonstrated it once again by handing the captaincy to Matty Lees. Johnny will remain with the club to support and nurture his good friend into this next era. Now, to go back, I think the argument against the club captain, I'm not necessarily making, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, is have Saints at times given out contracts or titles to players, staff, whoever, and it's been seen in a negative light. What's the word that I'm after? I keep saying nostalgic in my head, and it's not nostalgic. But where you give out a contract or you say, right, well, they're going to stay captain, but Matty Lees has been captain for 80% of the minutes that we've played this year. So I get it, and I think it would have been richly deserved for Jonny Lomax to be club captain, but maybe it is just a change in the thought process at Saints that, you know what, this is a new broom sweeping through. This is a new way of doing things, and we're not going to sit on that. Yeah, you know what? He's been a good player for us, so we're going to keep him as captain. I think my worry with a prop being captain, my two worries with the prop being captain are there are going to be times when he's off the field, unless, and these are things that have been in our WhatsApp groups and the likes, with people saying, could he play 13 next year? And he may do bigger minutes there. And the other thing is captain's challenges. Is he going to be involved in enough action to know? I suppose he's going to have to trust his charges, isn't he? Of you need to challenge that one there. Much like Jonny Lomax, but Jonny Lomax was very, very good, I thought, at captain's challenges. So hopefully he can pick up a little bit of that off him as well.
Sentimental was the word you were looking for.
Sentimental, that's the word I'm after, yes. Thanks, David. I've been racking my brain trying to listen to you, trying to listen to your dog,
Most
and
people do struggle with that part.
yeah.
Dog makes more sense at times. Anyway, Johnny did have some words to say about the move, and I thought he's been quite magnanimous
Yep.
in his words. Hang on, sorry, I've lost the screen. Can you read those words for me, Kevin, please?
I can read those words. It was an emotional moment. Johnny's a great friend and a great teammate, and what he has done for me personally has been huge. He supported me through some dark times, potentially career-ending injuries, and his support has helped make me stronger. People don't see those moments, but they mean everything. So to have his backing now is truly special. That sounds like Matty Lees saying them.
Paid him well. But do you know what? We've obviously seen the video that Saints have put out with Jonny Lomax standing in front of the team to say he's handing it over. And do you know what? That must have been tough for him to do. And it probably shows the the nature of the man that Johnny is, that he's actually gone and done that and not gone and sulked about it. Um, but knowing Johnny the way we do as fans, you know, and the way he conducts himself off the field, and the words you've heard talk, Paul Wellens, Christian Wolff, and everybody else talk about him. Justin Holbrook spoke about him. Johnny's rugby brain, he doesn't switch off from rugby league. He will
Yeah.
not want to go out next season on a whimper, and he's not going to maybe start the year as first choice, but you can guarantee he'll be banging the door down to get opportunities, and maybe unburdening himself from being captain. And he did look at times uncomfortable off the field with that side of the media side of it and talking to the cameras. He's the sort of captain you want on the field, but maybe not the role that goes around or everything that goes around it. Um,
So sorry
that's the
to
impression you
so,
get. And
sorry to interrupt
I know
you
what you're going
for
to
a
say now. So why would you want him to be club captain in that ceremonial role?
So why
May-
would you want him to be club captain?
So maybe
Oh,
maybe
why?
maybe that role was offered, and he's just said,
Yeah,
you know what, if I'm not captain on the field, I don't need that role.
yeah. It might be, as you say, the unburdening of that responsibility. He can concentrate now on his last season, as we're guessing that it is going to be. I think once you start dropping out of the main line, which I think you read between the lines with everything that's been said. I don't think Jonny Lomax starts in the halves next year. Does he end up in the halves next year? Who knows? Who knows what happens?
After 4 season-ending injuries in the first 5 weeks, yes, probably.
Yeah, yeah, he may well end up in the house, but then he can concentrate on his own game. And Johnny is not going to stop being a leader. He's not going to stop being a perfectionist. He's not going to stop being that, as you say, knocking on Paul Rowley's door. What can I do to get into your team?
And Johnny's not. Johnny won't be stupid enough to think like there's not many 35-year-old halfbacks rocking around Super League at the top level. What
Yeah,
he will bring is the the levels of experience on the training field and in the background to support obviously Matty Lees in captaincy, the likes of George Whitby and that coming through with that little helpful advice and support. I'm sure he'll be in Paul Rowley's ear about ideas that he's got because he's done it with every other coach. If you listen to the coaches what they used to say about him, um, so I'm maybe I'm being sentimental thinking I want him as club captain till he retires because I think he deserves it for everything that he's done for the club. But maybe as we've just discussed and we've talked about quite frequently the other day about being able to change opinions, we can see both sides.
yeah, I think so. And I think you'll have people in the comments now going, Mark Sneed's also, I think, a 34, 35-year-old halfback. But you're right that you don't usually see that level playing week in, week out for a club.
I'm gonna say about Mark Sneed though, and listen, opposition fans may well correct me on this. Mark Sneed's game is 90% his kicking. And you don't
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
and you don't forget to how to kick a ball just because you put 2 years on your age. Whereas
yeah,
that kicking isn't Johnny Lomax's game. Never has been. It was always, or it always has been, being able to make that little break and little dummy inside. And you've probably noticed over the last year, 2 years, that slowed down and it's become a little bit not predictable, predictable maybe, but he hasn't just got that little burst just to get away.
yeah.
Um,
I think this question will be more pertinent when we're about a week out from the season and we're doing all the pen picks and we've kind of seen a little bit of pre-season action. Can you see Jonny Lomax as our number 14 next year?
I'm playing 10 minutes from in the nine role. Yeah,
At nine?
100%. Just to come in and give that steady heading games when you need it settled down. Absolutely. But you know as
And
well as
it
I
might,
do, Kev,
yeah,
when you've tried to go and play five-a-side and your feet will not move as quick as your brain want them to. 20-year-old lads are running rings around you and you're like, I am old. How
mate,
much how, how must
anyone
that
under
feel?
30 is
How
a
must
kid
that
to me.
feel to be a 35-year-old rugby player and you've got George Whitby stepping you in training?
Yeah, or yeah. Well, anyone under 30 is a kid to me anyway. So, and my brain never worked quick. That's why I used to just stand and go when it was five-a-side.
Yes. Right. There you go. Quick show then.
Yeah, that'll
Are
do.
we back tomorrow? Knowing Saints? Probably.
Yeah, please, please no,
Yeah.
please stop.
No. Not tomorrow night. I'd love to say I can't film tomorrow night because I'm watching Everton, but fortunately, I'm going to be watching the cast of De La Salle performing Matilda.
Excellent.
Break a leg. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.